Well, hello kids, and welcome back to another home edition of Blog Kids and our Kids Church service. But just to remind you, in case you haven't heard, make sure you tell your parents, we are back at church. That's right, the kids are back at church. We're out here in the gym, in our area, and we're having church again. So make sure that they know that on Sunday mornings at 10:30 during the adult service, Kids Church is back in session. But we're going to keep these videos going just for those that might want to stay home for a little bit longer. But we are here for you, and I'm ready to see you back again. So, we are doing some Bad Guys of the Bible. And this is already Bad Guys of the Bible number 5. We're already on number 5, and there's only 6. So we've got this week and next week, and then we're done with this series. And it's been a really good one, looking at some of these bad guys of the Bible. And last week, we talked about Ahab and Jezebel. If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch that one. That was good. Go back and watch all these stuff with the bad guys. But last week we talked about Ahab and Jezebel and how their relationship, they were able to build off each other and become even more wicked and even more bad, and it just was not a good thing. And we also talked a little bit about Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? We talked about Darth Vader and how he had a relationship with Palpatine, and it was a bad relationship. He had a bad friend, and it made him bad. But here's the thing. No matter how bad you get, the bad guys of the Bible, no matter how bad they get, there is still hope for them. Because, see, God, He loves everyone. And He loves everyone unconditionally. That means no matter what, God still loves everyone. And He needs us to show people that love. But here's the thing. Yes, Darth Vader in the Star Wars movie, he's a bad guy. He was a really bad guy. But by the end of his section of the movies, there was something that changed. And he actually ended up saving his son, Luke Skywalker. And that's amazing. That's something that would have nobody would have ever imagined that happening. But it did. One of the worst guys ever did something good. Well, today's bad guy of the Bible has a very similar story. And this guy is so important to the history of all Christians and the history of the church and what we do. Today's bad guy is Saul. That's right. Today's bad guy is Saul. So we are going to find ourselves in Acts chapter 9. Y'all go ahead and say that. So we're going to find ourselves in Acts chapter 9. That's where we're going to be reading a little bit today. But here's the deal. In case you don't know who Saul is, Saul was a Pharisee. Okay? He was a Pharisee. That means if there is somebody that you needed to know what the Bible said, because, they just had the first part of the Bible back then. They didn't have the entire Bible because they were living it. But he would be somebody that would know exactly what it says. Okay? He was very learned in it. He had studied it, and he knew exactly what was going on. Okay? And he thought he was doing good things because this Jesus guy showed up, and he flipped the world upside down. And he showed people about how important relationship with God, a personal relationship with God, really is. And Saul didn't think that went with what God was saying in the Old Testament. No. Saul, he saw to it that Christians were locked up. And he was over groups of people that actually killed Christians. He was a bad dude. And he thought he was doing it for God. He thought he was doing a good job for God, getting rid of these Christians, getting rid of these people that are trying to change the way. So, let's read a little bit about Saul and when he met Jesus. Okay? It says, "Meanwhile Saul was uttering threats with every breath and was eager to kill the Lord's followers. So he went to the high priest. And when he went to the high priest, he said, 'Hey, I need a letter to take with me so that I can go down the road and I can find more Christians and bring them back in chains. I just want to arrest them all.'" Okay? So it says, as he was approaching Damascus on this mission, a light from heaven suddenly shone down around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Well, who are you, Lord? Saul asked. And the voice replied, I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. So Saul picked himself up off the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he was blind. So his companions led him by the hand to Damascus. He remained there blind for 3 days and did not eat or drink. So Saul met Jesus. Now this is after Jesus had went to the cross, Jesus had died, and now Jesus was resurrected. Jesus is alive again. He's still alive today. That's awesome. But Jesus stopped Paul right in his tracks. Right when he was on the way to go arrest some more Christians, possibly more Christians die, he was going to do some bad stuff. And then he ran into Jesus. So Jesus revealed himself. God's son, I'm the one you're persecuting, and I've got some work for you to do. So he told him, he said, go ahead, wait there, and listen what you must do. Now, throughout history, there's been a lot of bad guys that have flipped, that have become good because of the word that we have, the Bible that we have, and the story of Jesus and how important he is to our eternity. There's a lot of bad people over history that have changed their ways. And Saul, man, boy, did he change his ways. You know, sometimes it takes coming face to face with God. Maybe it's something in school. Maybe you're struggling with somebody at school and they're a bad guy, or maybe you're struggling being the bad guy. That can happen. Sometimes it just takes meeting Jesus to change your complete perspective on that person and the world. But here's the deal. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. We have a perfect example in the story of Saul. You see, there was a guy named Ananias who was there at the end of the road. And he was called on by God. And God told him, hey, I've got this guy. His name is Saul. And I've met him. And I've told him that I need him to do some stuff for me. And he's waiting on you. He's waiting on you to go and lay your hands on him and to pray for him. That's right. Ananias, I need you to go pray for Saul. Here's the thing. Saul was such a bad guy. Everybody knew who Saul was. Everybody. Because they knew that he oversaw Christians being killed. They knew that he just made it his daily mission to lock people up, to put them in chains because they followed Jesus. And Ananias knew exactly who he was. And he said, God, I can't do that. Do you know who you're talking about? Do you know who you're talking about? You're talking about Saul. Saul is the one he's been throwing us in jail. He's been seeing that we were killed. This is a bad dude. So he didn't want to do it. He did not want to do it. But God needed him to do it. So a little further, this is what it says. It says, but Lord, I've heard many people talk about the terrible things this man has done to believers in Jerusalem. And he is authorized by leading priests to arrest everyone who calls upon your name. But the Lord said, go, for Saul is my chosen instrument to take my message to the Gentiles and to kings as well as to the people of Israel. So you have it. Ananias told God no. But God said, I really need you to do this. He's waiting on you. He is waiting on you to show that my love is bigger than any bad thing he's ever done. You see, it took somebody in Saul's life to show him that no matter how bad he had been, people that followed God did what God needed them to do. Ananias went, laid his hands on Saul. He prayed for him. Scales fell from his eyes and he could see again. And Saul's life was changed forever. That's amazing. Paul, who is also Saul, he gave us the majority of the New Testament in the Bible that we get to read every week. Paul gave us that. And that was this guy that arrested Christians and that saw that Christians died. He gave us the Bible. That's how God used a bad guy of the Bible. And guess what? It took somebody in Saul's life to show them the love of God to change him into that person. You see, that's why it is so important to love. That's why it's so important to do God's mission and to do God's work. That's why it's so important to love everybody. To love the people that are mean to you, that say bad things. To love the bullies. I can't stand bullies. But we got to love them. We got to love them. That's the mission that God has given us. So this is something in Luke chapter 6 says, "But to you who are willing to listen, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who hurt you." That's hard. Don't let anybody tell you that life as a kid is easy, because I know it's not. I know you're struggling. You may have people in your life just like Saul, who are just bad. And you're just like, why do I need to love them? They don't love me. They're not nice to me. But just like Ananias, God has called us to do something better. He's called us to not worry about what they've done or how much bad it is. He has called us as kids and as adults to love first. That's your challenge. That is exactly what God needs you to do. We have got to step up. Kids, y'all are awesome. Y'all have been through so much stuff. Every kid has a story. And you've been through your own stuff, and it's tough, and there's stuff you don't understand and all that. But if there's anything that you need to understand, that I just need you to grab onto and hold onto every single day, it's that God loves you. And just as much as He loves you, He loves everybody else. And that's what He needs us to do as well. To love Him back first. And then to love everybody else. That's your challenge. And it's a tough one. But you can do it. Because you are awesome. Bad guy number 5. Done. Bad guy number 5 done. Saul with a great story. And he overcame it. And it was because of God's love. And it was because of people in Saul's life that showed him God's love. Boom. That's how we handle bad guys. With love. That's right. You can do it. So, just as a reminder, we are back in church. Kids, kindergarten through 5th grade, church right here. Sunday morning, 10:30. Y'all come on in, have some fun. Pre-kids will start next week on June the 28th. So if you've got like a little brother or sister that's ready for the pre-kids, they will have church starting next week. So you can go tell them to get excited too. I love y'all so much. I miss y'all. It was great seeing the kids that we had here Sunday. Oh, that was so awesome. I can't wait to see more of you. So y'all come on. And until then, we'll see you next time.